Forbidden Comfort. Part 1. My name is Andre Richards, and I'm about to tell you something I never thought I'd admit aloud. It's not just a confession, it's a truth that's been burning inside me for years. A truth I never asked for, but one I now live with every day. It began the first time I laid eyes on her. Laura Rowans. My brother Thomas had brought her home one warm Saturday afternoon. I remember standing in our cramped little kitchen, wiping my hands on a dish towel, when the door creaked open and Thomas stepped in with her by his side. Laura, graceful, humble, radiantly beautiful. She had the kind of quiet charm that made you pause, the kind of smile that made time stall for just a second. I told myself it was just admiration, that I was happy for my brother. After all, Thomas wasn't just my brother. He had been my everything since we lost our parents 20 years ago. He raised me, worked 2 jobs so I could finish school. He paid for my degree, even sold his old truck to help me buy books. I owed him more than I could ever repay. When he married Laura, I was still staying with them. We only had a 2-bedroom house, but Thomas insisted I stay until I found work. I searched, applied, and interviewed, but nothing stuck. Being under the same roof meant I couldn't escape her presence. And the worst part was, I didn't want to. I tried not to stare too long, tried not to listen too closely when she laughed. But feelings have a way of growing in silence. 3 years passed, and they had 2 beautiful kids, Brian and Mia. I loved those children like they were my own. I'd help with their homework, change diapers, and hold them when they cried. But the ache I felt for their mother never dulled. It grew deeper, sharper. To free myself, I decided to move out. I had finally landed a decent job. I saved enough to rent a small apartment and, as a thank you, I bought Thomas a car, a shiny black sedan. He was speechless. It was the least I could do. But even after moving out, I couldn't shake Laura from my thoughts. She lingered in every quiet moment, haunted every date I went on. I tried. I really did. Met a few women, took them out, smiled, laughed. But when things got intimate, I'd call out Laura's name. Every single time. One by one, they all left, confused and heartbroken. And who could blame them? Still, I continued being the doting uncle and loving brother. I spoiled Laura. Birthday gifts, flowers on random days, helping with her errands, fixing things around the house even after I moved out. She was grateful, always, but never suspicious. She even tried setting me up with friends of hers, hoping I'd settle down. But how do you settle down when your heart is already taken? One afternoon, while at work, I received a call that turned my world inside out. It was Laura. She was crying, no, sobbing, and all she said was, "Andre, please come to the hospital. Thomas was in an accident." I rushed there, my heart in my throat. When I arrived, I saw Laura sitting on the floor in the waiting room, crumpled and pale. I dropped beside her, only to hear the words that shattered us both. Thomas didn't make it. He died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. She fainted in my arms, and for the first time in my adult life, I cried like a child. The days that followed were a blur. The funeral was heavy, suffocating. Our relatives were few, and it was her family that took charge of everything. Her parents decided to take her and the kids in. "She needs support," they said. "There's no elder on your side," they added. Even the church agreed. I felt pushed aside, grieving alone. I wanted us to grieve together. We both lost someone irreplaceable. A month passed. I couldn't stay away. I visited them at her parents' house, only to find her pale, withdrawn, hollow. The kids were restless, confused, calling out for their dad. I told her I thought she should come back home, to the house she had built with Thomas. She hesitated, but in the end agreed, despite her parents' warnings. Back at home, everything reminded us of him. His chair, his cologne, the sound of his voice echoing in the walls. But somehow, it also became a place of healing. The children were more at ease. They slept better, ate better. Laura started smiling again, Small, hesitant smiles, but real. I began spending more time there, helping with the kids, fixing things around the house, watching movies after the kids fell asleep. Sometimes I'd crash on the couch, especially when it got late. Our conversations deepened. We talked about Thomas, about life, about her dreams. She said she wanted to go back to school one day. I promised I'd pay her tuition when she was ready. She looked at me like she couldn't believe I'd say something like that, but I meant it. I'd have done anything for her. And maybe, just maybe, she was starting to notice. One evening, we were watching a movie. The kids had gone to bed, and the house was silent except for the TV and the sound of rain outside. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and I held my breath. My phone buzzed. A girl I'd been seeing recently was outside waiting for me. I froze. Laura looked up at me. In her eyes, I saw something. Pain, jealousy, disappointment. I couldn't tell, but it was there, just for a moment before she looked away and stood up. "I'm going to take a bath and sleep," she said, her voice distant. "You should go." I stood there like a fool, the phone still buzzing in my hand. But my mind was made up. I dropped the call and walked to her room. She wasn't there. I heard water running. The bathroom door wasn't locked. I hesitated, heart pounding in my chest, then stepped inside.